The patch that nobody asked for, 12.0.7, and the curse of too much content. Too much? Is there such thing as too much content, guys? I don't know. Maybe if it's too much for Blizzard, which leads to a broken patch release, then yeah, we could say, yeah, that was a bit too much. But 12.0.7 definitely looks robust. As a 0.7 patch goes, I mean, have we ever had a raid release at a 0.7 patch? We're getting a lot of shit with this 0.7 patch. I've been saying it for a while now, and I'm excited for it. I am. We'll see how it ends up launching. That's going to be a big part as to whether we actually enjoy it. But let's check out this video here from TNE about why 12.0.7 might be too much.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evertel's wondrous wisdom show in a week where we've got so much news for you, you might even feel like it's too much news.
Ooh.
Coming too quickly all at once.
Coming too quickly, yeah.
Because the week after patch 12.0.5 destroyed literally the entire game, patch 12.0.7 was announced to the world. Internet, there is discourse about this patch, as in, whether anyone really wants it yet, who it's even for, and what the current very impressive 8-week cadence of WoW patches means for the overall quality of the game.
Yeah, are we moving too fast? Are we going too fast? I don't know how you guys feel about it. Look, for me, everybody already knows this story because I'm literally getting ripped apart, asshole completely torn over me not finishing out the Void Forge thing. And I could have finished it out. It wasn't because I wasn't playing. It's because I wasn't picking up the quest. I completely forgot about that damn quest line. Never picked it up. Killed multiple bosses and raids every single week and never got credit for it towards the thing. So I'm about to finish that out today. Literally today I'm about to finish out the Void Forge and start getting my extra bonus rolls. And I feel like 12.0.7 is about to launch just as soon as I actually get to the 12.0.5 content. So is it moving too fast? I don't know. That's kind of my fault on that. But I feel like the patch cadence has been good. Are we doing too much too quickly? Maybe. I think for some people, maybe we are moving a bit too fast. But I think 8 weeks seems to be a decent sweet spot to be in, if Blizzard can manage to get these things launched properly.
You better believe we are going to be getting down and dirty with that discourse later on in the video, but before that, let's have Evertel tell us everything we know about the patch so far in a special 12.0.7 rundown.
Welcome to Evie's Revelations Rundown. The new world content in 12.0.7 is the Showdowns, 2 new mini-zones that will open up on a rotating basis and will face you and any other players doing them off against voidy mobs and eventually mini-bosses. The most common way I've seen Showdowns described is to compare them to Legion's invasion points, where you zap to other Legion-occupied planets across the Great Dark Beyond, fill a bar by killing mobs, and take out a mini-boss. And it's easy to see why people use these Entorus events as a point of reference, not least of all because the 2 zones in question, Fungal Nigtal and Icy Val, were literally 2 of the planets that we visited in those invasions. And I know...
Yeah, some remixed content. We got some content coming back. I don't mind Blizzard, reusing some old content for these 0.7 and 0.5 patches like we've seen lately. Maybe it'll come out less broken that way, right? It's already been in the game. How badly could they break it? How could they break something that was already there? Well, they've done that before, so we'll see. I feel like when you take your vacation, you're going to be behind in the game like a lot. Yeah, you know what? There is that. Like, I'm planning on taking a vacation like June 26th, like around that time, that week of the 4th of July or whatever. And yeah, I'm probably going to come back and be a little bit behind. You're not wrong. There is a little bit of FOMO going on with WoW lately with the patch cadence and how quickly things are happening, that if you miss a week or two, you do feel like you're behind. That is true.
Visited in those invasions.
AI vibe coding going on here.
You're thinking, typical Blizz, reusing maps and content. Can't wait to play Legion Invasion Points 2.0, just like I played Horrific Visions 2.0. I wonder what recycled Shadowlands shit I have to look forward to. But honestly, this is to do Showdowns a massive disservice. For one, Nigtal and Val may be the same planets we saw in Legion, but these are not the same maps. The Showdown areas are substantially bigger. actually explorable. In Nigtal, for instance, I spent time doing jump puzzles on huge mushrooms, discovered a crashed Legion ship on one side of the map, and best of all, as I was heading back to base, I stumbled upon some old Draenei-looking ruins, and when I went through a crumbling old archway just to take a look, I discovered a sprawling underground Draenei temple thing. I mean this in the best possible way, but why did they put so much effort into this? This is extra to like a suspicious degree. These two zones have rotating world quests and rares and world bosses and bonus objectives to complete for the exact rewards you are expecting. The usual field accolades, coffer key shards, void light marl, and a smattering of warbound catch-up gear with a brand new transmog appearance set to collect.
Okay. I'm gonna say one thing about like void light marl, all the fucking coffer key shit, everything. And then the decor items on top of that. I've reached a point, I feel like, with loot that I don't even know what the fuck I'm looting half the time anymore because so much shit pops up on my screen when I loot a corpse at this point. And I think it might be like decor items that are really contributing to this, where like we have an oversaturation of shit that drops from things that we kill, and it shows up and goes away on my screen so quickly. I gotta open up my bag to see what the fuck I got. I'm like, oh, what is that? Oh shit! Oh, I just got a hammock and a toilet and a dildo-shaped candle. What's going on here? I just killed this guy. Why's he got all this shit? I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit over loot saturated right now. And then all the currencies on top of that. Yeah, you get your Void Light Marl and your fucking Crest, and they all show up on your screen like within a matter of seconds, and they're gone.
But what's really interesting about these zones is that they're not instances, but open world phases, which means players come and go constantly, there's always something happening, and, as you may have heard, there's a heroic and mythic worlds tier. Now, the way this has been reported, you'd be forgiven for thinking that 12.0.7 was introducing a heroic worlds tier across the whole of the expansion zones.
That would have been cool.
A concept that Legion Remix introduced to great excitement, and that just made all open world content a blanket level harder. That's not what this is. These unlocks are just for these Showdown maps. So functionally, it's just like changing the difficulty tiers of delves or ritual sites, but they're not called that. They're called Heroic and Mythic Worlds tier, just like in Legion Remix, and that's cool. Seriously though, this is exciting because it feels like this could easily be the first experimental steps towards introducing a universal Heroic and Mythic World tier to all outdoor content in the future.
I think if this is successful, they will give us, like she's saying, kind of an outdoor mythic or heroic raid, heroic world tier eventually. Like that definitely could happen. I think they're doing the smart thing here, and they're testing it in some more isolated zones. That if people like it, they'll expand the feature out. Fuck chat, why are you being so toxic? You mad at me because I went into the raid at a 198 item level and was able to actually kill some bosses? You jealous or something? What's going on here? Don't be mad. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay.
Something that lots of players are desperate for. More new content for you to tackle. The Sporefall One Boss Raid. The most notable thing about this raid is, of course, that it will offer a Mythic Flex version, scaling for groups between 15 and 25 on Mythic difficulty. Another thing that looks like it might be a test bed for bigger plans further down the line. It's going to be available on all difficulties, including Raid Finder, although there's no mention of any story mode version. Plus, Grudge Pit, where the raid is set, has some of the coolest music in the zone. Man, with this and Dream Rift, that cancelled War Within Herondar raid looks like it would have been awesome. To help you out with all this new content is the...
I didn't even think about that. These single boss raids that we have right now in Herondar are probably all bosses that were meant to be part of the Herondar, canceled Rootlands patch that we know. I mean, at this point, it's like a fact. This is no longer speculation. There was a Rootlands patch that was ripped out of the War Within and replaced with all the ethereal shit because Chris Metzen wanted to tie the War Within expansion into a grander 3-part series. So we basically got Rootlands ripped out by the roots. It's shoehorned into Midnight so he could tie ethereals. He could use ethereals to tie the War Within into Midnight. And that's what ended up happening there. So there was a raid that got canceled, which means they had these raid bosses and mechanics and everything made, And they were like, why don't we just release these things as single boss raids throughout the Midnight expansion? Damn. That, first of all, I think that was a good decision. Like, in terms of being able to give us content, not just throwing that content away. Second of all, does that mean these single boss raids will continue? If this was just part of a canceled project, obviously they're not just going to make raids and cancel them all the time. Does that mean we won't continue to get these single boss raids? Because I actually think these are pretty cool. I think they've been fun, and we're getting a new raid and a 0.7 patch, which is awesome. We'll see.
Omnium Folio. Sit down, take a deep breath. You ready? A borrowed power system.
Yeah,
no,
I know.
Wait, stop, please, don't leave. I haven't finished yet. It's a time-gated borrowed power system. No, please hang on. Look. I get it, okay? It's definitely not the most exciting thing in the world, but in fairness, it's basically not
Oh my God. Daddy Ops. Bringing in 50 viewers. Thank you. 50 viewers into this shitty-ass stream. Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you for the raid, Daddy.
Asking anything of you either. We have a straight-up talent tree that upgrades once a week with the odd choice node here and there. Basically, no grinding or effort on your part. You just get the cool voidy orbs zapping out from your head when you cast spells. It's just a way of nerfing the launch content, which is slightly more interesting than,
That's what I said.
Lay waste to this realm.
Missing Teeth, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourgeon. What's up, Daddy? The Omnium Folio. Okay, that's what this thing is called. There's a positive in that it's not another item that'll take up an item slot. That's like, everyone has to go out and get this best in slot ring now and power it up and all that shit. Okay, it's not that. It's basically a passive buff that you're going to get on the entire, expansion. Okay, everyone's going to be buffed a little bit more. The raid's going to be a little bit easier. Like she said, and I said the same thing, I think it was yesterday, the day before, this is basically a soft nerf on the raid content and everything, because everyone's going to be that much stronger thanks to this thing. Now, the Omnium Folio, are people excited about it? It's another fucking time-gated, thing that we're going to have to grind out a little bit, and it's what's it called? Borrowed power system. No, people are not excited about it. I literally put out a video just about this fucking Omnium Folio thing, and it's like one of my worst performing videos I've had in like a year, which just goes to show that people just really are sick of this shit. They don't want to see these kinds of things in the game anymore, and nobody's interested in it. Everyone's like, it's a fucking bar. I don't need to watch this video. This thing's fucking relevant for one patch, and it's going to be gone. I don't care anymore. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Blizzard has to meet a quota of a borrowed power item in a 0.7 patch every single expansion. So this is the one we're getting this time.
No, just nerfing it.
Thanks
and
again
also,
for the raid,
it's
Daddy.
really cool that it gives you a regular reason to visit and hang out in the Lycanium, the big library that you rush through in the Magister's Terrace dungeon with Rometh and Umbric. There's loads of new housing decor, and not just on the shop. Man, the shop stuff sucks, doesn't it? I mean, it's awesome, obviously, but it sucks that it's on the store and
Get your Hearthsteel, boys.
Well, I don't even know how much it costs because, of course, it's all listed in Hearthsteel, and I don't.
$75. It's easy. They don't live in America, but it's easy. In the U.S., you just put a decimal point after the first two digits, and you know how much the item is, after the last two digits. So this is 75 Americanos. That's right, 75 American dollars for some treehouse decor. Yeah. Gas is like fucking about to be like $10 a gallon. So I don't know who the fuck's paying $75 for decor items, but it is what it is. She is American, but she doesn't live in the U.S. anymore.
I don't even know what that means, and I refuse to learn what it means, so I guess I'm just never buying the beautiful treehouse with the windows that look weirdly like cock and balls, am I? Check out the latest episode of the podcast if you want to hear us rip into that a little bit more. But there's over 100 new items of decor just on the neighborhood vendors to get your hands on, including new bathtubs and basins in various styles, hay bales, gravestones, signposts, wells, work tools, fences, a square dyeable rug. I repeat, a square dyeable rug. Guaranteed MVP of 2026 right there. And outside torches, because yes, At last, we are being
Outdoor
allowed
lighting,
to put proper light sources out in the exteriors of our houses again. Alas, Tally's game-ruining fire garden will still not be able to be recreated since there is a limit on how close you can place light sources to each other outside, but this is a good start. And maybe most importantly means that windows can be placed out there too, on your house or trees or in the floor or whatever you like. So it's just as well that housing lead Jesse Kurlinchik revealed on socials yesterday that in 12.0.7, exterior decor limits will be increasing a massive 40% to 350 at house level 7.
Big push. Finally. What a waste of dev resources. Look, I mean, housing is it's a feature that I know a lot, there's a lot of people that don't do it, but there's a lot of people that do it. And there's a lot of people that do enjoy it. And I'm not going to hate on a feature just because it wasn't made for me, It's kind of like Plunderstorm. I'm on the opposite side there where I really love fucking Plunderstorm. I wish that shit was live all the time. I'm not even a PvPer, but I just enjoy Plunderstorm as a game mode. And there was a lot of people who were angry about it. They were like, "Whoa, what are fucking dev resources being put into a fucking fake PvP game?" The thing is, a lot of this shit can be used later in the game. A lot of the development that they're doing for player housing, whether it's, lighting, aesthetics, new items put into the game, a lot of this shit can be used by the devs to create new stuff for retail in general. Like just new stuff out in the world. They can create more in-depth zones, more detail in the zones because now they can apply dev power to creating more items for the game, knowing they're going to make money off of it, right? There's that justification. Like, yeah, we have 40 guys dedicated to making, fucking candles now and tables and shit. But it's justified because they're going to make a shit ton of money off those items. And then guess what? We can use these tables and candles and shit in the game to make the game feel more immersive because now our inns have more furniture in them. All of our villages look more detailed and everything else. So there is payoff to this, even though you don't do player housing. Player housing is not in a fucking bubble. It's part of the game, so they can use all this shit in the game. And I think it will benefit the game in the long run. Not to mention they're fucking making a shit ton of money off of it. So maybe in a perfect world, some of that money circulates back in and we get some better shit.
My idyllic cottage can have a back. There's more lore walking,
probably just goes to shareholders.
Diving into the history of the Loa with lore walker Lili. Will there be any sneaky new quests in there to set up the Loa shenanigans of 12.1? We don't know. Just like we don't know much about the quests where we help the Fire Loa Janalai, although it's safe to assume it will be at least fairly reminiscent of the Whelp daycare chain from Dragonflight. And speaking of Dragonflight, dungeons from that incredibly recent feeling expansions will be included in the new Turbulent Timeways rotation too, this time giving you a chance to bag the icy cool Veronoth mount. UI updates focusing on customization to the personal resource display, which is a massive deal. Thank you. And more, which Tally is going to talk about in just a second. As always, we are going to be posting links to Wowhead articles in the comments below, covering loads of the things we are talking about here in way more detail so you can peruse and keep up to date at your leisure. Because on paper, this is a stacked patch. Which is good, right, Anakin?
Yeah.
That's good, right, Anakin?
Yeah, it is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Could be fucking a horrible thing if it's really freaking broken. And when it comes to spending money on housing, like Vats is saying, people's money is people's money. Let them spend it how they want. We can't hate on people for spending money how they want to spend it. It's your money. Use it how you want to use it. That's all I'll say. You want to buy $75 worth of treehouse stuff? Go ahead. If it makes you happy, I'm happy. Do it.
New content, more content,
and if you don't want it,
is
don't
always
do
a good thing, objectively. And if you don't believe me, just check out the forums, where the usual arguing about tuning or housing relevance was put aside for a time, as everyone united in unsullied praise for Blizz and their excellent release cadence, because nothing makes people happier than a constant new stream of... No, it was a shit show, obviously. Oh my god, please slow down! Nah, this is too much. You guys need to chill and actually make something good. I literally haven't started on most of 12.0.5 yet. I honestly think this is going to make me cancel my sub because I can't keep up. Fewer updates! Yes, it's fair to say that the reaction to this patch announcement hasn't been...
I do feel, though, that Blizzard's constant... they're really trying to be open, with the player base, and they release shit more often now and news more often. And I feel like that's giving people anxiety a little bit. Like 12.0.5 hits, it goes live, and like literally the next day, we're talking about 12.0.7 PTR is about to hit. And Blizzard's giving a bunch of patch notes about 12.0.7. And I think they're just doing that to be like, you know, they said they want to communicate more, be more open with the player base and all this shit. That's one of their goals. But by doing that, they're making some people feel like, well, 12.0.7 is coming out tomorrow. Like it's just around the corner. When in fact, you still got like a month and a half of this current patch. But everyone starts hearing a lot about 12.0, the next patch, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't even do this stuff. And the next thing's coming out. It's not coming out tomorrow. They're just talking about it. Everyone needs to calm the fuck down.
The kind of unreserved positivity and gratefulness that Blizz may have envisioned. To be fair, there are plenty of comments on the various blue and social media threads showing plenty of genuine anticipation for Revelation, but also a noticeable uptick in people who just like don't want it, or want it later, or feel overwhelmed, or are wondering why we're even talking about a new patch when there are still some pretty egregious bugs left over from patch 12.0.5. Now, it's not the first time we've heard people saying there is too much content, but it's probably the first time there's enough people saying it for it to become a discourse, and this discourse is going to be our main course on...
These people miss the, like, 2 years of no content in WoD. Like, those were the days, man, where you could just grind out that fucking moose mount or something for an entire year.
Today's show, namely, who is 12.0.7 for and why are people against it? Let's start with that second question, because there's a couple of good reasons. One, as I just mentioned, 12.0.5 was a very buggy patch. Was it more buggy than any other WoW patch in the history of WoW? It's unfair to compare it to Vanilla or TBC or Wrath, because that was 20 years ago. But again,
I feel like, I forget what patch number it was, but in the War Within, the patch with the Hallowfall invasions thing, I feel like that was worse than this. This had some issues, but I feel like that one was just like, you couldn't play it. You literally couldn't play it. It was so broken. The event was like causing you to have to log out because it was just lagging so bad. Things weren't spawning. No loot was coming out. It was one of the worst patches I can remember. So I still think that was worse than this. And that patch didn't even introduce as much as this one did. That was a much lighter patch, and it fucking broke everything.
Go down for days at a time while problems were ironed out. But compared to most recent offerings, probably a bit more, yeah. I still have to give myself plenty of time to repair or apply weapon oil before a Mythic Plus dungeon since the update, because there is a very real possibility that my game might freeze for a couple of minutes of PC fans going absolutely bonkers when I try to do so. The floor of my player house is still occasionally wrong when I walk into it, and of course any bug that impacts player loot is always going to be a way bigger deal than anything else. So memories of those botched bonus rolls and duplicate items will stick in people's heads for a long time to come.
Does anyone still have the issue where their login screen, their character's transmog is like scuffed up? I've had that issue since they went to the new transmog applies to your slot rather than your item thing, which I love. It's a great system, and it works in the game very well. It's just fine. But for some reason on my login screen, my character's transmog is always wrong. There's like just random items, different colors of the items that I've transmogged. It just looks janky as shit, and then I log in and it's right. I don't know why that keeps happening. Yeah, still an issue on some of your characters. Yeah, and Blizzard must be aware of this, but I guess it's like a lesser problem right now that they have to deal with. They'll fix that later when they have time.
So, quite reasonably, people are asking if
that is your mod,
would be less buggy if the patch cadence was slowed down a bit. Maybe if more time were taken on these updates, maybe more care would be taken on them, and maybe they wouldn't have so many problems. And that is a very logical conclusion that makes total sense. Yes, I agree. Sadly, I don't think it's the answer in this case. Because frankly, and I'm about to be incredibly damning now, I don't think the patches would get any more care if they took longer to arrive. Because the quality assurance employees who are supposed to be taking that care aren't there anymore.
That's
and
true.
It doesn't matter if a patch takes 8 weeks or 20 to launch if the QA isn't there to identify and to help fix those issues. Just ask former Blizzard leader Mike Ybarra, who personally gutted QA at the behest of the C-suite, it's his literal religion to carry water for, and then jumped on Twitter this week to observe how buggy the new WoW patch is. And
yeah, that was so fucking... This guy, this was hilarious. We talked about this. He was part of the reason they fucking cut all the freaking quality people. And then he was like, hey, Blizzard needs a reset. They got to get more quality in there. It's classic. Classic, like, old C-suite move where they make a bad decision and then they blame the employees for the fucking fallout.
Like, yeah, no shit, Mike.
Can't be me.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this, Mike. For real, it could literally be any one of us. Woo. And you might reasonably say, yeah, but Tally, if they spent less money on trying to push patches out every 2 months,
Gaslighting 101,
they
exactly.
might have more money for QA. And again, yeah, that's a very logical and common sense, and I can't fault you for it. But no, Blizzard have been on a race to the bottom with QA for over a decade now. They clearly do not consider it worth investing significantly in, and until they do, this is never going to get any better. End of. And you know what? With the rise of AI and Microsoft's near sexual embracing of that technology, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, it goes without saying, I am a firm advocate of more investment in QA. Hire more QA, Blizz, 100%. The point I'm making, though, is that slowing these patches down isn't going to magically make Blizz care about QA. They are two separate issues. Also, whereas I do think 12.0.5 was noticeably buggy, I don't think overall the bugginess of WoW patches has been getting significantly worse since Dragonflight upped the patch cadence compared to the expansions that came before it. And if increased bugginess was connected to increased patch cadence, you'd surely see some kind of correlation there. But was WoD extra specially good and bug-free because there were no content updates for a full year during Siege of Orgrimmar?
No.
We do objectively get buggy patches more often now, but that's because we get patches more often. And look, maybe
he's kind of right. I mean, there have been some really freaking egregious patch launches recently, but patches have oftentimes had bugs in them. Like we've seen that a lot, and like just the only difference is, in WoD they just had less chances to trip over their own dicks because they weren't throwing it out there. Where in Midnight, it's like every 8 weeks they got a chance for that to happen. So that is part of it. But it doesn't excuse the fact that, honestly, they've had some really bad fucking launches lately.
There are some game historians out there who can prove me wrong on this, and if there are, I would love to hear from you, genuinely. But just going by my memory and vibes, the patches don't feel to me like they're more buggy than, say, WoD or Legion or BFA. The cause and effect of faster patch cadence and more bugs, it just doesn't seem to line up to me. But like I say, I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. Another thing, it's super galling to have outrageous store bullshit shoved in your face while a patch is still really buggy too, for real. And I
Oh my god, Evitel said it and I didn't even realize it until now. That is a dick window. That's a dick window. They totally put a dick window on the treehouse. Big wood on the wood house. Yep. All right. Well,
in your face while a patch is still really buggy too, for real. And I started at the point of absolute hatred for Hearthsteel, so I don't really have anywhere to go with this, but I can confirm that yes, I still fucking hate Hearthsteel and everything it fucking represents. Fuck Hearthsteel, throw that shit into the sea.
Hey,
would slower patches mean less scummy Hearthsteel shit? No, of course not. It would just mean longer gaps between new housing stuff we can actually get in the game. So while I'm open to being convinced, I'm not currently convinced that slowing down the patch cadence
that's
would
all right,
necessarily
Arcadimus. You buy what you
in an
want.
increase in quality with regards to the bugginess of the game. So what about the overwhelming amount of content that the 8-week patch cadence brings? Now this, I do appreciate, because I am certainly not the only one who looked at 12.0.7's list of features and couldn't help but feel slightly uninspired or excited by another round of events and upgrades, all following the same kind of pattern as usual.
Yeah. Not
because it doesn't look interesting or fun, but because we've kind of seen it all before, you know? That sense of repetition is tiring to a certain extent.
I will say one of the coolest things about the patch launch is the raid, because that's unusual. We don't get new raid content typically in a 0.7 patch, so that's exciting to me. He's right. The other stuff, the Omnium Folio, even these 2 new like mini zone things, like it's all like, yeah, maybe I'll do it. And if there's a good mount behind it, like the time walking event thing, yeah, I'm gonna do that because a mount motivates me to get some shit done. But other than that, yeah, it's like, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. That's the difference between me now and me how I used to play the game, where like I had to do it. I'm like, oh, all this shit just came out. I got to do all this shit. I don't really play the game like that anymore. I play the game, And I like to push my item level up, and I like to raid and get AOTC and all that other shit. But I don't feel the need to do everything anymore. I just do the shit I want to do.
It is actively intimidating to new players hitting max level or players who might be thinking about coming back. You might remember that towards it.
Name the last mount you did that for. It was the remix stuff, Midnight. I mean, I did it for I only played remix for the mounts. I literally had no reason to go into remix whatsoever. Maybe to have some fun in it, but I didn't really care to do that. And I definitely don't want any alts. I didn't have any desire to level up any alts. I literally don't play any of my remix characters ever. They're still sitting in remix. I didn't even get them out of it. But I went in there just to get the mounts, literally. If they didn't have the mounts from the remix shit, I would have never done it.
End of Dragonflight, we put out a video talking about the absolute cluster that Valdrakken turned into at max level, with an army of exclamation marks popping up for events like Time Rifts and Emerald Dream Things and Suffusion Camps, as well as all the different chapters of the story that might send you underground to Zaralek, or might send you to the Emerald Dream, or might send you on a merry little jaunt with Bane to unlock back totems. And there was no real direction to players on what to do. Well, yeah, that problem doesn't look to be getting any better with all these Midnight updates so far, does it? There's a purple question mark in the far northeast of my map, which has been there since the launch of 12.0.5. A purple triangle looks very important, doesn't it? Makes it seem like it's a vital player power gameplay feature that I should be unlocking. I've gone nowhere near it, of course, because I know that is Abyss Anglers, and I don't have time for that shit right now. And so
I maybe unpopular thing, I didn't do Prey. I've never done the Prey system. I still have the go talk to Astralore fucking quest. The purple quest is still on my map. I never did it, and part of it was because like I just, it looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll do it one day, but I already item leveled out of that shit by doing other things that I wanted to do. I'm glad Blizzard put in another feature for some solo player content out there, but I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it. I don't need to. And I'm not going to. And that thing I'll probably never talk to Astralore. He's going to be wanting to talk to me his entire life. I'm just going to keep walking by him like he doesn't exist.
Absolutely understand people who look at the features
I'll admit
list
it, I probably will never do it.
12.0.7 and think, stop, enough, chill. I'm going to go into the reasons why it's happening and how I think it could be improved in a moment. But I have to begin by saying, sorry. I'm sorry, because I am never going to be able to stand on my soapbox and say, there is too much content. I'm never going to be able to honestly look you in the eye and say, I think we should have slower patch cadence.
Yeah, no, I think
the reason for that is because I'm old enough to remember Warlords of Draenor, okay?
Yeah.
I remember the slower parts of BFA and the turgid purgatory of Shadowlands updates. And the game certainly wasn't better then for those updates taking longer, in my opinion. Honestly, I think the issue here is how repetitive these patches have begun to feel. And honestly, I think it's mostly a fatigue that we feel on paper more than in practice. So the 12.0.7 patch was announced the week after 12.0.5 launched.
I was talking about this earlier.
It had to be, because it needs to go on the PTR to be tested. But what that means is you barely, as a player, gotten to grips with void incursions and ritual sites and rerolls and the crushing disappointment of Decor Duel and this thing I've heard about called Abyss Anglers, whatever that is, when suddenly Blizz are telling you all about the next timed rotating Kill All the Void Things event. And
I said like, I don't even think it's necessarily like the game is updating too fast. I feel like the news cycle is updating so fast that it's giving people anxiety. Like the fucking, like I said, 12.0.5 just came out, and Samiccus is out here dropping a news video about 12.0.7. I literally talked about 12.1 yesterday, about the launch date of that shit. And I think it's giving people like oversaturation anxiety with WoW news, where they're like, oh my God, I just started doing this shit. What do you mean the new thing's coming out? And it's not necessarily coming out. It's just Blizzard's dropping all the news on it, like at a rapid pace. So it makes people feel like it's just around the corner, when in fact it's still like a month and a half away.
Some more player power upgrades and a new raid. And that is kind of overwhelming because it's all at once. But it's probably worth remembering that content isn't launching now. 12.0.5 has got another 2 months in it yet. And I don't know about you, but It wouldn't surprise me if I might just be done with ritual sites and decor duel by then, and I might actually be glad of a couple of new areas to go and kill mobs for my cosmetic rewards. Also, I've actually played all of the Revelation patch that is on the PTR as we speak, and I played it all in the same week that I was playing all of 12.0.5 content for the first time in live. And I don't know if this is praise or criticism, but it's not an overwhelming amount of content at all. Showdowns are a natural extension of incursions and ritual sites. It's just a couple of new places to do basically the same thing. And for what? All catch up and cosmetics. Yeah. And I know that we are all so wow-brained after years of training that we can't possibly look at those events going on every half hour and not feel like we're losing or not playing the game properly by not doing them. But honestly, most players, especially high-end players, lose absolutely nothing by skipping them if they want.
It's true.
Incursions, ritual sites, and showdowns will all be farmable and their rewards earnable, not just for the rest of midnight, but literally forever. I feel bad about that Abyss Anglers notification on my map because my brain is wired to think that is something I need to do, and it makes me anxious because I'm not going to do it, but actually it genuinely doesn't matter. If I decide I want to get those rewards later, then Abyss Anglers will still be there 5 years from now if I want. For better or for worse, that's just how WoW works now. As Evertel said, the borrowed power Omnium isn't a piece of gear like Cersei's signet that involves grinding things out and finding the right gems to empower it with. It's basically a no-effort quest that you pick up every week, and it makes you incrementally a bit more powerful.
I know it's actually a buff, but it's that's what it is. It's the soft nerf that Blizzard used to do on the raid every week to make the raid a little bit easier. They're just giving it in the form of a buff to the entire player base. You just do the fucking quest every week. You're going to get a little bit stronger, and the raid will get a little bit easier.
The wind down of the season. In practice, there isn't actually a lot going on in this upcoming patch. Certainly not enough, in my opinion, to call for an immediate slamming of the brakes because there's just too much content now. I would say, though, that the optics of all of this could be improved a lot. I would say, I think Blizz could really do themselves a favor here by changing up the shape of the content they put into these patches. Actually, what I think a patch like 12.0.7 really should be all about is story. Give us long quest lines with plenty of cutscenes that explore the characters and issues raised in the main patches. Give us something to really get our teeth into narratively. You might be able to tell I went to Final Fantasy XIV Fest recently, but that's what patches like Revelation should be about. That's who patches like Revelation should be for. Character development, world building, side stories.
Yeah, see, like if Blizzard hadn't added the whole reuniting of the elves and all that, we could have gotten, like, that story could have been spread out over this 0.5 and 0.7 patch. We could have gotten a lot of really cool storylines and cutscenes and everything else. That probably would have been, fun to do. But they kind of cut the story off so quickly that now we're sitting with these point whatever patches, and we're just not going to really get any real story beats. We're going to get some story stuff out of 0.7. We did see that. So that'll be cool to play. But we could have just had a lot more. Could have had a lot more.
Do you agree? Well, those of you who do, I've got some good news, because actually, quietly, that's exactly what 12.0.7 is.
Yeah, we're getting story stuff.
I'm afraid we totally buried the lead on this one, because Revelation is very much a story patch. There's the lower lore walking, which I'm sure will be lots of fun, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 5-chapter story campaign that begins slightly after the launch of the patch. I'm going to guess on week 3 of the patch, since it's 5 chapters and that'll lead us nicely into 12.1. The story campaign of which I have done the available first chapter, and it's great. As in, it's exactly what I needed. Now, clearly, it goes without saying, I've said it before, I think it would be better if these 5 chapters were all playable at once. I think there is a valid argument to be made that sometimes an MMO story can benefit from being introduced over a number of resets. I think the leveling campaign, going into the Void Spire, going into the March on Quel'Danas is a great example of that working really well. But I think in a smaller patch like Revelation, seriously, just front load that shit, okay? Let the story enjoyers really get stuck into it and do it all at once if they want to. I promise you, Blizz, they will thank you for it. And obviously, I haven't played every chapter. Maybe the other 4 completely.
It also kind of makes the story hit a little bit softer when You do like 5 quests and then you pause. Like the story's paused for a week. And then you do 5 more and then it's paused again. And it just kind of like makes the story feel, I don't know, it doesn't hit as hard. Imagine, it's like if you're watching a movie and every 5 minutes, one of your kids or your wife or your husband, somebody's asking you for something. It continuously breaks your immersion rather than sitting and just watching it in one sitting where, you really get into it. You keep breaking the immersion because you're fucking time gating this shit. Just give it all to us. Let us experience. I understand maybe not giving the entire expansion storyline at the launch, okay, but when the patch hits, give everything that's supposed to be told in that patch in one line. Let us fucking experience the whole story at once in a patch.
They suck and are way shorter and less interesting. There's no way of knowing yet, but Chapter 1
Instead of
was
weekly
really
chapters.
enjoyable. I'm going to put a blue bot spoiler bot up here while I talk about it. The Harinir call for a grand gathering in the den between them, the Blood Elves, Nightborn, Night Elves, High Elves, Darkspear, Armani and Zandalari trolls, which, yes, means we get to see Talanji again. My queen, but also Zappy Boy himself, Zakan.
Cool.
I repeat, Zakan has new
He's
voice
back.
lines in this chapter in 2026. What a world we live in. At this big meeting, the Harinir dropped the bombshell that everyone in that room shares a common ancestor.
in-game
And the cutscene
cinematic.
where this information is imparted isn't there yet, so I'm not sure of the exact wording, but the implication from how people are talking afterwards suggests that the Harinir are actually the progenitors of all the other races, which, no, I don't like that. That's not a shared ancestor. Whatever, no one else really likes this news either, and it's actually
What, the trolls are supposed to be... I remember this fucking... Blizzard kept flip-flopping on this. Who came first? The chicken or the egg? The Harinir or the troll? It has to be the trolls first. The trolls are the OG. The Harinir cannot be their ancestors. That's weird. That's a retcon. I don't know why Blizzard keeps flipping on that shit. I would think Metzen would get that straight. I guess they're going to do Harinir as the OGs, I guess.
really great from a story perspective to see how
It was supposed to go trolls, Harinir, Night Elves, High Elves. That's the ascension of the races. That's the what's it called? Darwinistic fucking, advancement of those races.
Everyone gets along in these scenes. Lots of reminding us how there are deep wounds between the races and factions that can never be healed, etc., etc. The kind of talk we
Night Elves
definitely
to Naga,
needed
by a
after the
curse.
speedrun truce that saw the elves united in the March on Quel'Danan.
The Naga are more of a branch than an advancement.
Out of everyone, though, Zul'Jan is the most offended and storms off, with Orwena following and offering proof of her, oh, I get it, revelation. She takes him deep into the cave networks of Harandar, which I think is honestly the best and so far most underutilized parts of Harandar, and shows him a vision of the Black Empire general Kithix finally being defeated by the Armani. But instead of the trolls doing it themselves through sheer grit and badassness, like Zul'Jan has been raised to believe, the truth is revealed that during the battle, the Armani summoned a chaotic being, Ulatek, from the Rift of Aum. So kind of like a snaky chimerus.
Snaky Loa, Snake Patch 12.1, Isle of Fangs, yeah.
Battle against the Black Empire in their hour of need. After Kithix was defeated, the Armani decided that Ulatek was actually way too badass and too much of a threat to, life, and locked it away somewhere. Frankly, Zul'Jan doesn't believe any of this until someone refers to Ulatek
spoilers, by the way.
weapon.
Yeah, too
Then
bad.
his
I already
eyes
watched
light
it
up,
now.
and suddenly he's all about finding and releasing Ulatek, because of course he is. A massive, unpredictable weapon that isn't a lower, though. It's got Zul'Jan written all over it. The questing then follows us helping him track down where Ulatek might be imprisoned. A bit of dastardly manipulation from a legendary baddie, and more. And it's really good stuff, honestly, and if the next 4 installments are of this quality, we are in for a treat.
Story looks cool.
And actually, yes, this is exactly the kind of thing I want to be in this patch. And furthermore, I think purely for optics and simplicity, it might be better in the future to differentiate the purpose of these patches a bit more. Leave the timed events and open world evergreen stuff and the gear catch up for the 0.5 patch. Very much center the 0.7 patches on a big old chunk of glorious questing.
Yeah.
Maybe even more questing and story in the future.
Continuing voice
and all
form,
those
yep.
one boss raids as well. I love that shit. But what do you think? Are you one of those who think the content is coming too fast? Are Are you overwhelmed? Do you think the quality and smoothness of these patches would be helped by slowing them down? And what do you think of what Revelation has in store? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give us their actual real life money to make all our work happen. And patrons, as ever, seriously, thank you. Because without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evertel. Oh, and actually, Evertel asked me to remind you this week of our new YouTube channel memberships, which is mostly for the podcast, but also applies to everything on this channel. It's another way to give us your actual real life money. Yay! And you get like emotes and stuff, you know, the kind of thing. Evie will be very pleased if you do, is what I'm saying. If you didn't like this video, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Minty. No, my name is Taliesin from me and Evie. Until next time, cheerio.
Oh, great video overall, and an interesting concept about the speed at which things are happening. I personally don't think that the speed of the patches is too quick right now, but I do think the news cycle is what's really putting people into a tizzy and a frizzy and a I'm gonna put my cock in my own butt kind of shit. People just need to calm down. It's fine. Just because they're dropping PTR shit on 12.0.7 doesn't mean 0.5 is done. There's plenty of time to get shit done, and I would much rather prefer this style of, you know, patch release and cadence and everything than what we typically got in WoD. Definitely. Pre-watched? Fuck you only, Cam. How about that? Nice video overall from Taliesin and Evertel.